This is Hank from the Wildflower Bee Farm. It's April 26th, and I wanted to record this today because this was the picture on April 21st. It hit -5, and they say the wind chill was -10, and look at the snow. And you have to wonder, well, what happened to all the things that were blooming? What happened to dandelions? What happened to the willows? What happened to all the wildflowers? Because we're talking -10. Now, you would think that this would really set things back, maybe, for weeks. But 2 days later, have a look at what the bees are doing at this hive, and you won't believe it. This is just 2 days later. See the pollen coming in? There's pollen there from dandelions. There's willow from the willow trees. Wildflower, different types. And the first question is, how on earth did these plants survive? There was some dark blue, purple, there's some yellow. It's as if someone pressed pause and then play. As soon as the snow melted, they just went back to work. -10, -5, and we have the sensors throughout the property. So we know what the temperature was at near every hive. And it turns out anywhere from -5 to 10. So for me, that's being a former, cherry grower and plum grower, anything like that, and your crop's done. Now, interestingly enough, we have a few plum trees, Maribel and other plums that popped up in the forest. And they were blooming 2 days later with no black spots in the center suggesting frozen. No idea how that's possible. Now, the first hypothesis is, did the snow, the layer of snow, protect the flowers in some way? Perhaps. The moisture, maybe then it would, they weren't as susceptible. But I really have no idea. And the second thing that this sort of reemphasizes to me as you watch the bees come in with different pollen, whites, different color, orange and reds and the odd dark blue purple. It's such a diversity here of different plants and different wildflowers that I think the bees can survive. And I think, we were talking the other day about the different hives. So we have Langstroth, as is the entrance here to this hive. We have top bar hives. We now have log hives. And we have log living hives. We don't have any tree living hives habitated right now with bees, but let's just take the first three. And they all pretty much survived the winter. So it may be, again, that habitat is so important, that giving them the right place to live and the right variety of food, and that would include pollen and nectar, and access to water, and not exposed to excessive amounts of pesticides. Now remember, we have a 50-acre farm, but around us is regular agriculture. So people are spraying Roundup and people are doing all those things, but because we're on a 50-acre farm, and I think we have enough food here that the bees don't have to travel, particularly when the clovers open up, that I think we're protecting them somewhat because of that as well. So perhaps instead of spending so much time trying to manipulate hives and treat them and all those things that we're supposed to do, we should spend more time working on the habitat. We should spend more time planting different types of flowers, different sort of things. And that in itself may be all we need to do to help these guys survive. Don't know. I did post some information on the sensor data we're getting from the living tree hive without any bees inside. And the temperature is consistently 4 to 5 degrees warmer than it is outside. So even though we went to -6, -5, it was still +1 or 2 inside the living hive. And the humidity was consistently at 95%, 93 to 95%. I'm wondering what it will be when it becomes habitated, because there's a lot of research that suggests that bees in high humidity don't have such a varroa mite problem, because the varroa mites can't reproduce when that in fact is going on. So those are some thoughts today. Amazing. After our brief brush with winter. Here's another hive. These are two hives side by side, and that's it. Just these two. It was one of the research experiments we did to see if they would not survive as often as the others that were split apart, but they're certainly doing fine. I think we're going to get some swarms if it warms up. Again, I'm Hank from the Wildflower Bee Farm. Look forward again to talking to you soon. Have an amazing day.